Hello, 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 and welcome back to Space Engineers on the Xbox. We're back on my Series X, and we're looking at a mod showcase today of the Ganymede Solar Tower Array. This is the scriptless version. If you are playing on a dedicated server, Sargonos actually has a scripted version of this which will auto-track the sun. If you remember my tutorial on how to build a solar tracking array without scripts, or if you haven't seen it, I will leave the link in the description of the video as per usual. This is the mod for you because this combines a solar tower base, a maglev hinge, and the Ganymede solar tower panel all in one, so you don't have to build the rig yourself. You just have to set it up when you built it. So let's pop one down. Let's pop it here. We're in creative mode, obviously, to take time. If you're in survival and you're trying to do this, then you'll be welding up a few more parts. I will leave Ganymede's actual video in the link of the description as well. So that's 2 video links. We have the solar tower base. Now we need to pop on our... Hold on. Yeah, it is. Next part. Ignore the solar tower head. We want the solar tower. Come on. Hinge. Finally, at the top of the hinge, we want to stick Ganymede's solar array. And that is all there is to the Ganymede solar tower in terms of building it. Obviously, as I said, if you build this in survival, then you're going to need to weld up the various different parts, including the hinge part and the tower part, which acts as a rotor as well. So the first thing we want to do is we want to look at the sun. Well, when you're setting this up, my advice would be to also pop down a handy dandy, not one of these, now one of those. Control station. We'll see why in a second. And we can do everything we want to do from this control station. But to begin with, we're going to set a few things up. First of all, we're going to find the shortcut by holding down the D-pad, and we're going to pop the solar tower base, and we're going to add this rotor lock here on off. Now we're going to turn our right direction by the same means, holding down until the toolbar config opens up, and we're going to ask the rotor to reverse. Now we've got that out the way. What we need to do is look at setting this thing up. Now, one of the easiest things to do with this is to go into the control panel through the inventory button, tap control panel with the right trigger, and pop down until you get to the hinge. Once you're on the hinge, drop share inertia tensor on it anyway, and you want to set the hinge, you want to leave the hinge velocity to about nothing to begin with, but you want to change the upper limit to roughly 60. And then you just want to bring your velocity to about 1 RPM until the hinge hits. Oops. Put it right again. There we go. Remember, if you press the A button twice, you can actually put the velocity in that you want. Now, if you look, our hinge panel is kind of pointing at a good angle to catch that sun. You could change it again. You could set it to, say, 50 or 45. And now you want to try and make it track the sun. And this is why we have this set up here on our rotor lock and on our rotor reverse. What we want, first of all, is to pop open the control panel, go to the solar array. Yep, it's working. Go to the solar tower base. Pop shear inertia tensor on that as well. Remember, you have to be in experimental mode to be able to access that feature. And as I've said before, that's done from the main game menu, not from the menu when you're running the game. And always press X to confirm. Next thing we want to look at is we turn the rotor lock on to begin with. And we want to bring the rotor speed up to about 2 RPM. Now we know that plus 2 RPM is a clockwise direction and minus is an anti-clockwise direction. You'll see our thing starting to turn. So we turn rotor lock off. But now we come out of that, and this is why we have our control seat. So we turn our rotor lock on and off with the left D-pad, and we rotate the solar panel until, you know, we're happy with where it is. If it overshoots the sun, like I've done on purpose there, tap right on the D-pad and press left again, and you'll see that the solar panel will turn back the other way. This is because the reverse changes the rotor speed from plus to minus, positive to negative. Okay, so now that's pretty much set where we want it. Open up the inventory again, go to the control panel, go down to the solar tower base, and this time hit reverse once more, making sure that our velocity is set to positive. Then you want to open up with 2 taps of A, and you want to type 0.0083. Confirm it with X, and then turn your rotor lock off. Then, over time now, this Ganymede solar tower will slowly turn to follow the sun. As the sun moves across towards that mountain there, this tower will move roughly with it. And the way this tower is designed is that it will catch a lot of sun on that panel regardless and produce quite a decent amount of power. And that is the Ganymede solar tower array. It's a nice simple one for anyone who, like me, doesn't use scripts because they don't play on dedicated servers or run a dedicated server or know overly much about dedicated servers. But my advice, if you're trying to put mods onto a dedicated server, don't try Nitrado. It can be done, apparently, according to some people, but every time I've seen it, it's been a headache. My actual advice is to go to GTX Gaming and get yourself a slightly more expensive server from them, but they allow mods and have a help page, dedicated support, and an absolute ton of other stuff. This isn't a promotional video. I'm not doing a promotion. This is just literally my advice after dealing with this on the Facebook group for several times and having people lose their temper at me specifically because I couldn't help them with a Nitrado server. So GTX all the way for me. Anyway, that was my small rant. Not a promotion. YouTube, take note. This is it. The Ganymede Solar Tower Array. A belting mod. And once Ganymede fixes their production mod to show up on the radial of an Xbox controller fully with all the parts, I will be jumping into that one because that looks really cool. That has the electrolytic divider in as well as a bunch of other stuff, including storage and assemblers and so forth. So if you want your high-tech sci-fi looking Ganymede spaceship, stay tuned because that's going to come. Also, I'm going to be looking at how to build a fighter. Now, several people have asked me this, and honestly, building a fighter is no different, really, than building your standard average small grid ship. So I'm going to build a standard, average, small grid ship that's also a fighter. Now, originally, when I first started Space Engineers, I created something called the Teeny. Teeny one-person combat ship. It's terrible, really, judging by here it is. But it has guns and rocket pods. And the thing to know about these things is that these particular guns here can actually be auto-loaded from within the ship. These are designed not to be. No matter how much you want them to, you cannot get these to auto-load. These have to be reloaded by hand, by crew, by you, whoever, whatever. But we'll be looking at something a bit more stylish than the Teeny. And remember, with fighters, these things aren't designed to take punishment. These things are designed to get in quick, hit hard, hit strategically, and get out. Anyway, that's enough from me. Stay safe, take care, have fun, enjoy the game. As per usual, I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.